Imagine protesting against a government's rule while standing on that government's own soil. That's exactly what Irish immigrants did in Victorian England, armed with nothing but ink, paper, and revolutionary spirit. This is the story of the radical Irish newspaper scene that most people have never heard about. Between 1800 and 1899, nearly 40 Irish newspapers were published in England and Scotland. Most operated out of London, and here's the thing, they were all short-lived. Some published a few papers, while others printed only one issue. Many were closer to newsletters than what we'd recognize as newspapers today. Running a newspaper wasn't easy. You needed money, writers, editors, designers, marketers, and most importantly, readers willing to buy your paper. For Irish immigrants working manual labor jobs, scraping together resources for a printing press was a revolutionary act in itself. The first Irish newspaper in England was called The Harp. It began publishing in December 1810 and lasted just for a short while, ending in February 1811. Think about that timing. This was during the Napoleonic Wars, when Britain was on high alert for any threats to national security. And here were Irish immigrants, publishing a newspaper that challenged British authority. The Harp set the template: radical politics, nationalistic tone, and a campaigning nature that wouldn't apologize for demanding the Catholic people's rights and independence. For Irish immigrants, newspapers weren't just about news, they were the beating heart of political life. Regardless of where Irish people settled, in England, America, or Australia, they brought this tradition with them. These papers were unapologetically radical, part of the broader left movement. They raised money for a united Ireland. They supported Republican causes. They printed stories that mainstream British papers ignored or suppressed. Every issue was an act of defiance, a reminder that the Irish community hadn't forgotten home, and they hadn't given up the fight. Here's what makes this story so unique. Irish immigrants in England were protesting British rule on British soil. They were living in London, Manchester, Liverpool, the heart of the empire, while publishing newspapers that openly opposed that same empire. This wasn't subtle dissent. These weren't polite letters to the editor. These were full-throated demands for their rights and independence, critiques of British policy in Ireland, and calls to action for Irish nationalism. And they were being sold on street corners in Victorian London. The British authorities were aware of these papers. Sometimes they shut them down. But like a hydra, when one newspaper died, another would spring up to take its place. This determined newspaper scene laid the groundwork for more influential publications. In 1939, Irish Freedom began publishing and became a major voice for the Irish community in Britain. It evolved into the Irish Democrat in 1945, finally achieving the longevity and influence that earlier papers couldn't sustain. But we shouldn't forget those short-lived newspapers that came before, each one a small act of resistance, each one keeping the flame alive. The story of Irish newspapers in Victorian England reminds us that journalism has always been a political force, and that immigrant communities have consistently found ways to make their voices heard, even when those in power wished they'd stay silent. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please share, like and subscribe for more videos exploring Irish radical history and the hidden stories behind the headlines.